and today I wanted to talk about whether or not boomers were secretly right about millennials. This has been on my mind lately. So, I am a millennial. I am an older millennial, and you know the whole stereotype about how boomers think of millennials, right? Boomers think that millennials, we are lazy, we're entitled, we're ungrateful, we're soft, we're crybabies, we're skinny jean wearing, avocado eating wannabe adults who can't manage their finances to save their life. All these stereotypes. And I can't help but wonder if at least there is some truth to their sentiments. But first, let me just fall on the sword and let me just admit myself that there were things in my earlier life, in my earlier years where I, you know, I probably was not the best with money. Like I overspent on things. I overspent on a lot of material goods, thinking that I just had to keep up with the Joneses. I had to just present this image or this front. It just stems from insecurity. I have to make a full confession and admit, just be accountable to my own actions. Hopefully, I reformed myself a little bit, but like, I fell victim to that, is what I'm saying. Like, looking the part. I've grown, matured, and gotten wiser, and I think I'm in a good place now where like that is no longer a part of my lifestyle, and I'm a minimalist now. Basically, I don't spend money unless like it provides direct value to me. But let us first recount the typical life of an older millennial, like somebody in my age range. Okay, so the first thing that I remember was dating back to in my high school years. What happened during our high school years? Something called the 2000 dot-com bubble. That was basically when the first internet companies crashed and burned. So you can look this up, but between the years of 2000 and 2003, the NASDAQ lost close to 80% of its value in those 3 years. Those were brutal, brutal years. While it didn't happen to our own portfolios, because at the time we were just too young, like I said, we were in high school, we weren't investing, we didn't really have any money. That financial recession, that affected our parents' portfolio, and we were old enough and mature enough to understand the ramifications. We saw how that crash affected our household finances, and it definitely left an impression. It certainly left an impression on me. So that's what happened to us in high school, all right? Now, fast forward, we go off to college, right? We go to college for 4 years, and then right when we're about to graduate, which is around 2007, 2008, guess what happens then? The great financial collapse, the great financial recession of 2008. That's where stocks just collapsed, real estate market collapsed, the banking system almost collapsed, and the government actually had to bail out all these big financial institutions to prevent the whole banking system from complete collapse. Dude, that was a doozy. That was a crazy, crazy time. I remember, just walking around the streets of LA and seeing all these like red foreclosure signs on houses. Like, let's say that a block of houses, there's like about 10 houses, and 4 of them had foreclosure signs on them. Foreclosures are, by the way, when you can no longer pay the note on your house and the bank takes it back and the bank forecloses on your house. So it's basically when you lose the house because you can't make your payments anymore. That's what happened to a whole ton of people. And the fact that the government bailed out like all these Wall Street institutions and left like the mom and pop people to just rot. I mean, that's what led to all these protests. Like I remember the Wall Street Occupy movement, Occupy Wall Street movement. It basically created a sense of tremendous distrust in the system. and distrust in governments, people being on our side to help us. And it certainly left us with the feeling that investing was kind of like scammy. It was like looked upon with suspicion. It was something that, was extremely risky, dangerous. You could lose your whole life savings, and so therefore we were very hesitant as older millennials to invest. This event was extremely traumatizing and very impactful to me, and it definitely like cemented an impression in my mind. And to speak plainly, like that recession was a great opportunity, but the millennials like us, we didn't have the resources to buy in during the dip because, like I said, at the time we were just graduating. We were taking unpaid internships right out of college because the job market was so bad. Companies were not hiring. We had to just basically work for free sometimes to just get our foot in the door somehow so that we could actually land a real job. We had no money whatsoever. We had no investing training. We had a bad feeling about investing. And we were told by the older generation that going to college and getting into student loan debt was just what you did. It was the right thing to do after high school. By the way, do you notice a kind of like a theme here where millennials such as myself and such as like people in my generation, we just kind of blindly trust the system, and it ends up being this giant shitstorm where we completely just get screwed and ran over and steamrolled? Well, that's part of our growing up. Those are things that legit happened to us older millennials. And so going back to the life of an older millennial, like the timeline. Now we've graduated, we got hit with this huge recession. We tried to dip our toes into the job market, and then, we were met with the greatest financial collapse in modern history that anybody has ever experienced. But slowly but surely, we were able to scraggle and crawl our way towards something respectable. We're just getting back on our feet. Things are looking more promising. Maybe we're starting to invest a little bit. But guess what happens in the year 2020? That's right, COVID. Another once in a lifetime pandemic, epidemic level, cataclysmic event. How many cataclysms can we have in one lifetime? So we don't need to go over like what happened during that time, but basically things crashed, government shut down, the whole world shut down, businesses were shuttered, we were ordered to shelter in place, not be able to work, not be able to make money. A lot of people lost their businesses, lost a lot of money. They got laid off, so many things. And we barely made it out of that one. And how did we make it out of that one, by the way? What did the government do? They basically implemented the greatest quantitative easing, money printing scheme known to man. You can go back and Google all the stats, but the amount of money printed during those years was in the trillions and trillions of dollars, you guys. And so when you do that, what happens? What is the result of that? Hyperinflation. A dollar is no longer worth a dollar. It's worth like 50 cents, which brings us to this current situation that we're in of hyperinflation, things costing through the roof, your money not being able to buy much anymore because of one of the main reasons, like I said, was the money printing. There's other factors too, but that was a huge, huge reason for that. So now things are costing through the roof for everybody. We can't afford anything. We're still living paycheck to paycheck. So like for the typical millennial, do you see how the road to like stability and prosperity was laced with basically booby traps and snares and pitfalls all around? And if you fell into any one of them, it would take you years to recover if you ever did. So in summary, yes, millennials, a part of it was, their own personal accountability, their own personal like habits and mentality that led to some of the predicament that we're in regarding finances. But come on, guys, like it's undeniable the set of circumstances that older millennials had to endure. Epidemic, cataclysmic events occurred in our life, and it completely screwed over a tremendous amount of older millennials. So there's no denying the kind of like the crummy hand that we were dealt. But I wanted to say the silver lining in all this. I try to find like always the silver lining in every situation. Despite what they're bashing us and constantly just ridiculing us, we can actually learn something from these from the baby boomers. I mean, I have to talk in stereotypes and generalizations, but like baby boomers, their generation is known to value things like hard work and discipline. There is definitely, without a doubt, a time and place for that. And maybe the stereotype is true for millennials, where we're kind of more wishy-washy and we don't like commit fully to things. That is not the most ideal trait to have if you want to be successful, if you want to be an entrepreneur, let's say. When you're starting a business, let's say, or when you're trying to build wealth, take it from the baby boomers, you know, like we have to, despite their bashing us, we have to learn from them as well. Like just try to block out the noise and try to like internalize the positive aspects of their generation, I guess. And in turn, like every generation can learn from every generation, right? Millennials can learn from baby boomers. And nowadays I see the generation below us, which are Gen Z. Gen Z is learning from us millennials as well. They're more likely to kind of question the traditional path to success, going to college, getting a job, getting all this stuff. Like they're more kind of open to non-traditional paths. For example, after seeing how following the traditional path kind of messed a lot of millennials up, they're more savvy now. They're definitely more aware of, hey man, like sometimes what society is always telling us to do is not the right path. And so that makes me happy, you know, like we should all learn from each other, and we have to, like, each generation carries like lessons that the newer generation can learn from. But you guys, I love being a millennial. All these experiences have shaped us. They've made us who we are, and we just got to keep on going, just keep on getting better. And that's what I wanted to say in this video. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks. Bye.